Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are taking a look at the OathBreaker, which is a unique legendary War Glaive given to you towards the end of the Brother of Steel questline that's been spawned in by the Steel Dawn DLC. So let's see what this thing is all about, shall we? The OathBreaker basically is a War Glaive with a standard head and the following legendary effects: Suppressor, even though this was supposed to be anti-armor, which in my opinion would have been much better, but we're not gonna go into that for now. Power attack damage and less power attack damage less damage while power attacking. So if you actually look at this as a weapon concept, you will see that it takes about 3 seconds for you to power attack every single time. And if your AP regeneration is high enough, that's also enough time to completely refill your AP, which means you can keep power attacking with this thing and keeping up your debuff on the enemy about the less damage dealt to you or your teammates. So, in all senses and purposes, this weapon looks to be a team play focused weapon, or maybe just you to kind of keep alive, but then again, higher damage makes your enemies die faster, so that would be just as good. Anyway, so yeah, this is what we're dealing with. However, what I also want to look at is whether this weapon is better with any of the other modifications that is available for it, which by the way you can get from Rex, up here after completing the Wastelanders questline. And there are actually 4 modifications available for it. Cryo Blade, which gonna add or dissect the originally fully ballistic damage into different types of ballistic and cryo damage. The Flaming one, which is gonna make the cryo instead burning and add the 5 more, because I think that counts in the lingering afterburn damage. And we've got the Plasma Blade and the Shocking Blade, which both is the same. They just have different required material crafting, and also they look a bit different, of course. But these 3 are the ones that are conceptually different. But I'm actually trying to find whether any of these blades are superior to the other in a definitive way. So I've crafted myself a few War Glaives. So we got a freezing one, a flaming one, and a electrified one. The electrified is the same as the plasma, so I don't need that one. I'm going to be testing them against the OathBreaker, which supposedly still have the same amount of damage, as long as I'm not going to be power attacking with it. So yeah, that's going to be our testing method. Let's go and hit some stuff with this. But before we get to hitting stuff with this thing, I actually also want to compare this to the previous best 200 melee weapon, which is the barbed burning sheepscotch staff. This is the best modification we can get for it. This is sitting at a whopping 239 damage, which is actually out damaging the OathBreaker, since it's just normal ballistic type. This is 218. However, the other stuff, so stuff like the electrified War Glaive, for example, is out damaging the sheepscotch stuff, because this is sitting at 253. And the flaming one is sitting at 258, if I'm counting correctly. So, despite this having much more towards the ballistic damage department, overall, if you add it up, technically these Warglaives should be better. But I still want to compare them and see how that goes, because I am not that easily convinced by sheer numbers. Okay, so here we are. There is a glowing death glow, and before you ask whether I have mutations or any perks that affects my damage, no, I will be reducing or rather suppressing all of these with the red X right now. So there you go, red X goes on. Now my mutations are suppressed, so now even if I take damage, I'm gonna be dealing the same amount of damage based on my strengths at least and whatnot. Let's start hitting this guy. First we're gonna go with the normal War Glaive. 140, that was a headshot though, so that's 70 damage if we don't count the, double damage from the critical hit spot. Okay, so 70 damage. 152, so that's 76 damage on the death glow. Okay, let's try this again. Flaming one, 76, so that's the same as the freezing one. And last but not least, the electrified one. That's 76 again, if I saw correctly, but let me confirm. Yep, that's 76 for sure. The double damage was again because of the soft spot of the belly, it looks like. Death glows take double damage on belly and headshots, so, keep that in mind. Okay, and finally, last but not least, the bloodied burning sheepscotch staff, which is bloodied, so I should probably heal up first. And 77 damage with a bit health lost. So that's still out damaging both of those War Glaives that we will be using, so both the normal one and the elemental one. Which is odd. I don't know how much is being affected here by the minor health loss. Okay, so here we have a government worker. Let's try again, against robots. See that the elemental damages add up there. So let's see. That should be a body shot. 156. Let's see the freezing one. 225. Ooh, okay, that's a big difference. I don't know if robots have like weak cryo damage resistance, but we'll see. No, 225 still with the flaming one. And 192, so they do have better electrical resistance, or energy resistance rather. I also want to try out, by the way, with the Sheepscotch Club. 168, but that was an arm shot, I think. 168. Okay, so this time the Sheepscotch stuff actually falls behind, which is interesting. But yeah, let me try that again. That's weird. 225. Yeah, that's much higher. Okay, so it definitely looks like that. You know, the flaming and the freezing one might be your best bet when it comes to dealing damage. All right. Last but not least, I want to try it out on some super mutants. So let's do that. 153 damage, and he fell down. 176 damage on this one. 176 on this one as well. And 198 on this one. Okay, so it does look like the super mutants have better flaming and cryo resistance compared to energy resistance, which was confirmed in my previous video about the, plasma cutter as well. So that's interesting. That's definitely new developments. So it basically looks like that all of these three have their strengths, but the OathBreaker's default blade is falling behind in all areas. So it definitely looks like it's not worth keeping the fully ballistic damage concentrated blades. And one thing I still want to test whether the cryo damage works as a slowing effect, because it didn't work on the plasma cutter, but it might work on this one. We'll see. Okay, they definitely move a bit slower than their normal counterparts. So yes, it does look like that the freezing effect works to a certain extent. Yep, he definitely started slowing a bit slower. And now he's fastening up again because the freezing effect wore out. Okay, interesting. So the freezing effect does seem to do a bit of slowing effect. I feel like the cryo bit might be the best choice right now. And you can always check the wiki for, what enemies have what sort of resistances. And that's pretty much everything that we need to discuss in this one, I feel like. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.